What would you do if your family threw a celebration with your money and erased you from the story? I didn't expect applause or confetti, but I also didn't expect to be forgotten. My name is Naomi Blake, and last Thanksgiving I learned exactly how disposable I was to my own family. Not just ignored, but strategically erased, and it cost them everything. I'm the youngest of two daughters. My sister Lena is older by 2 years, louder by 10. And somehow always ends up in the spotlight even when she hasn't earned it. I'm not the kind to make a scene, never have been, but this time, they forced me into one. Even if they didn't see it coming. See, Thanksgiving has always been a circus at our house. Blazers, high heels, curated centerpieces, and enough wine to drown any lingering tension. This year, I offered to host it somewhere special. And by host, I mean I booked the entire thing, an upscale restaurant in downtown Austin, with private rooms, customized menu options, and full decor. I paid $387.42 up front from my own savings. No one else chipped in. Not even my sister Lena, who'd posted about family blessings for 2 weeks straight on Instagram, complete with filtered photos of pumpkin pies she hadn't baked. I didn't mind at first. I've always been the quiet backbone, the one who gets things done while others pose for credit. What no one knew, not even my parents, was that I'd been laid off 2 weeks before. The startup I worked for folded, and I hadn't told a soul. I still wanted to give them a beautiful day. That was my mistake. I arrived at the restaurant early just to make sure everything was set. The manager, Jason Weller, greeted me like an old friend because he was. We went to high school together. He was the quiet debate kid who now ran one of the top bistros in Austin. "Everything's ready, Naomi." He smiled. "You did good." I smiled back, hiding the storm in my chest. I was holding it all together barely. Then my family walked in. My mom, Marilyn, air-kissed me without eye contact. My dad, Richard, gave me a nod and immediately started adjusting the place settings. Lena glided in, wearing a velvet dress and that smug, hollow smile she saves for public occasions. And then I saw it. The head table. A sign in gold foil lettering, "Thank you, Lena, for making this day perfect." I froze. Was this some joke? I checked the seating chart. There were 16 names. Mine wasn't there. Not on the host list. Not at the head table. Not at any table. I blinked. Surely someone made a mistake. I walked up to my mom and gently asked, "Hey, I think something got left out. Did the planner forget to include my name on the seating chart?" She didn't even look up. "Oh, honey," she said, waving it off. "Don't start with your drama today. This is Lena's moment. She's been working so hard. My drama, I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I smiled, a tight, burning smile, and I walked away. They clinked glasses, toasted Lena's effort. My sister gave a whole speech about bringing the family together. Jason looked at me from across the room, his brow furrowed. "You okay?" he mouthed. I nodded, but my hands were trembling. I wasn't okay. I was breaking. I had spent the last of my savings on this dinner, and now I was a ghost at my own table. I didn't wait for dessert. I didn't argue. I simply stepped out, walked into the hallway, pulled out my phone, and did something no one saw coming. But the real shock that came the next morning, because this time, I wasn't going to clean up their mess. I was going to let them sit in it. The hallway outside the banquet room was colder than I remembered. Maybe it was the tile. Maybe it was the rage. I could still hear their laughter echoing behind the door, my sister's syrupy voice floating above the noise, accepting credit like she planned every detail. She hadn't lifted a single damn finger, and yet here she was, celebrated like a hero. Jason Weller, remember the manager of the venue, and a friend from my past caught up to me near the coat check. "Naomi," he said gently, eyebrows raised. I looked at him, calm, focused, like something inside had just clicked. "Can I ask you something?" I said, keeping my voice even. "Of course. If I wanted to cancel dessert, the violinist, and the bar tab, could I do that?" Jason blinked. "Technically, yes. Your name's the only one on the contract." I nodded once. "And if I wanted to, let's say, Change the billing format so the remainder is paid per guest rather than prepaid. Jason looked down at his tablet, then back up at me. You want to pull the whole thing? I didn't answer. I just held his gaze, and he understood. Back in the dining room, the first whispers started as the music stopped. No more violin, no more ambiance, no more champagne refill. Then came the waitstaff handing out discreet cards to each guest at the table. Lena's smile began to twitch. "What's this?" she asked, reading hers out loud. "Balance due for individual guest package, $117.94. I watched from the bar as confusion spread across the room. Marilyn stood up, her voice tight. "Why are we being billed?" "This was supposed to be covered." Jason approached her gently. "There's been a change in the payment structure. The original host has decided to convert the service to a per-head bill. Individual tabs now apply." Richard looked lost. "What do you mean, original host?" Jason's voice was level. "Naomi Blake. She booked the venue, paid the deposit, structured the menu, managed the setup. She's listed as the sole host on the contract." Silence. Complete staggering silence. Lena's face turned ghost white. "That can't be right," she snapped. "She didn't plan anything." Jason calmly turned his tablet to show the contract. My name, my email, my digital signature. That was the moment her voice cracked. "Wait, she paid for this." They all turned toward the empty chair at the edge of the room. But I wasn't there anymore. I had already left, walked out the side door. No scene, no tears, no final monologue. Just gone. Back to my apartment. Back to the peace I had built alone. I didn't even check my phone until the next morning. 34 missed calls, 12 voicemails, dozens of texts. "Marilyn, Naomi, we need to talk." That was uncalled for. Richard. "Come on, sweetheart, let's work this out." Lena. "What the hell was that?" "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." "Pay the bill now, or I swear I turn the screen off." I'd done enough. They could figure the rest out on their own. And I wasn't done yet, because something deeper had broken that night. And it was time I finally acknowledged it. I let the silence breathe. No response, no explanation, no apology, just space. But by Monday morning, the story had shifted. I was suddenly the villain, at least according to the group chat Lena created without me. Screenshots trickled in courtesy of my cousin Jade, the only one in the family with a conscience. Lena Naomi's always had a victim complex. I've done more for this family than she ever has. Marilyn. She ruined Thanksgiving out of spite. We can't let her behavior slide. I read the messages with the kind of stillness that doesn't come from peace, but from clarity. It had never been about the dinner. It was about the years I'd spent bending backwards for people who would never do the same. You want to talk about ungrateful Lena? Let's talk about who paid Mom's hospital copay when Dad forgot his wallet. Let's talk about who covered your apartment deposit when you broke your lease in college. Let's talk about $287 for Grandma's new tires, $100 for Richard's dental work, $900 for Lena's emergency vet bill. None of that money ever came back. No thank you, no memory of it. But I had every receipt, so I sent it. A tidy spreadsheet. 5 years' worth of bank statements, itemized, labeled, dated, total $14,672. Attached with the message, "You said I've never done anything. Here's the record." 3 minutes later, Marilyn called. I didn't answer. She tried again and again, 4 times in 1 hour. I sat at my kitchen counter, coffee in hand, watching the phone buzz. Not out of pettiness, out of power. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't available to fix things. I remembered a conversation I had with Jason after the event. He stayed late to make sure I was okay. "You ever think they don't actually hate you?" He said. "They just hate that you don't need them." That hit harder than it should have. Because it was true. I stopped needing them a long time ago, but I kept trying to earn their love with silence and service. Not anymore. I blocked Lena that night. I archived the family group thread. And then I made a call, a quiet strategic one, because there was still one asset left they didn't know about, and I was done letting them build a narrative without me. It started as a fantasy. One of those someday thoughts you keep tucked away between bills and grocery runs. For me, it was a little craftsman house on the east side of Austin. A corner lot, wraparound porch, wildflowers in the front yard. I passed it every week on my way to the co-op market. It always had a faded for rent sign. The paint was peeling. But the bones, solid. I fell in love with it years ago before Lena's voice ever filled our family dinners. Before I ever thought I'd be cast out of my own bloodline like some stranger at the table. 3 years ago, I got a surprise email. The owner was selling. No listing, no bidding war. Just, "Are you still interested?" I drained half my savings. Took a silent side contract on weekends. Ate bulk rice and lentils for 6 months. And I bought it. Cash. But I didn't tell anyone. Not because I was hiding it, but because no one ever asked about my life. Not really. So it became mine. A sanctuary. A symbol of everything I built while no one was looking. So when Lena posted on Facebook the week after the Thanksgiving disaster, smug and self-righteous, I nearly laughed out loud. Some people only show up to tear things down. Glad we have real family to keep traditions going. Or a blessed, thankful Blake. Clan Forever attached was a filtered photo of her smiling in front of the very house I owned. She'd borrowed the key from Marilyn without asking, decorated the porch for her early Christmas photo shoot, even tagged the location as Blake Family Homestead. It was so on brand it almost didn't sting. Almost. I didn't comment. Didn't text. Didn't call. I just waited. Until the next week when she called me bragging that she and her fiancé were thinking of renting the place out for her bridal party. Said something about sentimental family value and how I wouldn't understand since I've never built anything myself. I let her talk. Then I said flatly, "Lena, I own that house." She laughed. "No, you don't." Marilyn said, "It's a rental. You're probably still in that shoebox apartment downtown." That's when I sent her a PDF. The deed. My name. Date of sale. Fully paid. No co-owners. Silence. "Then are you serious?" I didn't reply. Instead, I posted a new photo. The house. New paint. New blooms. And a caption. "Built quietly. Lived loudly." The likes poured in, but the silence from my family even louder. They weren't just stunned that I owned something. They were shaken that I didn't need to announce it to feel valid. I built something in secret, and now I wasn't apologizing for it. Not to them, not anymore. The family brunch was supposed to be neutral ground. That's what Marilyn called it when she left the voicemail. "It's just brunch, Naomi. No drama. We're all adults here." I shouldn't have gone. But part of me, still fractured, still unfinished, wanted to see if there was any version of my mother that might say, "I'm sorry." Spoiler, there wasn't. The restaurant was upscale modern, one of those mimosa-drenched spots Lena loved tagging on Instagram. They were already seated when I arrived. Marilyn in pearls, Lena in linen, Richard in silence as usual. The hostess pulled out a chair for me. Lena didn't even look up. Marilyn offered a tight smile and said, "Naomi, you're late." I didn't reply. I just sat. The waitress came and we ordered. Avocado toast for Marilyn, eggs Benedict for Lena. I didn't order anything. I just wanted to observe. And I was glad I did, because what came next peeled back everything. "Your little stunt," Marilyn said, stirring her tea like it owed her something, refusing to join Thanksgiving. It embarrassed us. She didn't raise her voice. That would have been too undignified. Instead, she leaned in, lips barely moving, as if the shame might contaminate her espresso. I blinked. Then slowly I reached into my bag and pulled out a sealed envelope, labeled Holiday Expense Ledger 2019-2023. Inside an itemized list of every holiday dinner catered meal decorations, cleaning service, gift card, emergency grocery run, and post-party Uber I had quietly paid for over the past 4 years. The total $18,437 as I slid it across the table. Neat, quiet, surgical. Lena opened it first, scoffing. Marilyn's smile twitched as her eyes scanned the figures. "Why would you do this?" she asked, voice trembling just slightly. I tilted my head. "To remind you who really built the traditions you're so eager to gatekeep." Silence. Even Richard shifted in his seat. I continued calm and clear. I never made it about money. But since you reduced me to ungrateful, I thought we should all be clear on who gave and who took. Lena snapped. You're so dramatic. You always want to be the victim. I smiled. No, Lena. I just stopped pretending I'm okay being your scapegoat. The brunch ended quickly after that. No hugs, no photos, no hashtags. Just a trio of silent exits and one waitress who gave me a subtle thumbs up. I walked out into the bright Texas sun, feeling lighter than I had in years. I used to think confrontation had to be loud to count. Turns out, sometimes the quietest sentence hits hardest when it's backed by a decade of silence. But the finale was still coming. Because 2 weeks later at a gala, Lena thought she was headlining Everything Changed. And this time, I didn't need to say a word. The invitation came in a gold-trimmed envelope, addressed to Ms. Naomi Blake. Not guest, not +1, not Lena's sister, just me. The Austin Women in Tech Foundation was holding their annual gala downtown. Formal attire, sit-down dinner, silent auction, recognition of key donors. I'd contributed quietly over the years small grants to help young designers from underrepresented backgrounds. No speeches, no plaques, just purpose. I never expected to be honored. But that year, they chose to reveal the anonymous top donor. Lena had recently joined the foundation board. One of those social status moves. She loved the optics. She'd even posted about supporting innovation for women in tech, though I doubted she could name a single program. When I arrived, I didn't even look for her. I just slipped into my seat. Table 7. Then I saw her, on stage, microphone in hand, smiling like she'd swallowed the spotlight whole. We're here to uplift the women shaping our digital future. And tonight, she beamed, we celebrate our most generous benefactor yet. There was a pause. Then the MC stepped forward and took the mic from her gently. And that benefactor is Naomi Blake. The room gasped. There was a beat of stunned silence, and then a wave of applause that felt like thunder. I stood. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. I walked calmly to the stage as the projector behind me displayed the donation figures, the program initiatives I'd quietly funded, the lives I'd impacted. Lena froze, her smile gone, her cheeks pale, the spotlight mine. For once, not because I chased it, but because truth finds its way home. After the event, a young girl approached me, maybe 16, wearing a name badge that said Maya, intern. She looked nervous. Miss Blake, I just wanted to say, I used your scholarship to get into the UX summer boot camp last year. It changed my life. Thank you. I knelt slightly to her level. Then you'll change someone else's. That's how this works. She nodded, eyes shining. That moment, that was the real inheritance. Not my family's approval, not a seat at their table, but a legacy I built without permission. Back home, I poured a glass of wine and stepped onto my porch, the one I bought, repaired, painted, loved. No filters, no likes, no need to perform, just peace. For once, the silence around me wasn't empty. It was earned. Conclusion. Some families will never see you until strangers do, but that's okay, because recognition that's earned, not granted, hits different. I didn't need their praise. I just needed to stop waiting for it. Have you ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to love you most? Share your story in the comments. And if this hit home, like, subscribe, and never let anyone dim what you built in silence.